What if the killer was never caught? What if the only clues left behind were whispers, shadows, and silence? Some mysteries aren't just unsolved. They're deeply unsettling, stitched into the fabric of history with threads of fear and fascination. Every so often, a case surfaces that refuses to fade with time, pulling at something primal within us. The need to know, to understand, to solve what others could not. These are the kinds of stories that blur the line between truth and myth, where facts become folklore and fear becomes legacy. Despite living in an age of forensics, mass surveillance, and 24/7 media, some of the most harrowing disappearances and inexplicable deaths remain untouched by answers. Their files sit untouched in cold case archives. Their stories are often told in hushed tones or scattered across internet forums, each retelling more desperate for answers than the last. These cases captivate because they defy explanation, and because deep down we fear the same silence might one day swallow us or someone we love. In this video, we're not just revisiting unsolved cases. We're immersing ourselves in the eerie, shadowy worlds where truth is stranger than fiction, where entire families vanish without a trace, where a single surveillance video spawns 1,000 theories, and where the dead are buried not only in the ground, but beneath layers of questions. Each of these stories leaves behind echoes. Echoes that continue to haunt detectives, families, and anyone who dares to look too closely. Let's begin in the quiet, mist-draped forests of Oregon in 1958. The Martin family, Kenneth, Barbara, and their 3 daughters, were preparing for the holidays in their modest Portland home. On the morning of December 7th, they set out on a casual Sunday drive to gather greenery for Christmas decorations, a simple tradition meant to welcome the season. They stopped at a gas station. Their youngest daughter bought bubble gum. Witnesses later said they seemed relaxed, cheerful, but they were never seen again. As days turned into weeks, the story took on a darker tone. Their car, a 1954 Ford station wagon, was missing. Investigators found tire tracks leading off a cliff near the Columbia River Gorge. Scattered along the area were eerie remnants: a single woman's shoe, a length of tire chain, and a piece of a road map. Months later, the bodies of the 2 youngest daughters washed ashore downstream. No trace of Kenneth, Barbara, or the vehicle ever surfaced. The river had given back only part of the story. Suspicions of foul play began to stir when locals recalled a drifter asking about the family days before they vanished. Some believe it was a robbery gone wrong, others point to a sinister family secret. But with no concrete evidence, the Martins' fate remains suspended in mystery, their story etched into the fog of the Oregon wilderness. Fast forward to 2013, where the sleek lines and grime-stained windows of the infamous Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles housed the next chilling enigma. Elisa Lam, a 21-year-old Canadian college student, had been traveling solo through California. Her journey was documented in cheerful blog posts and calls to her family until they suddenly stopped. She was last seen at the Cecil, a hotel with a long and grim legacy of suicides, violence, and infamous guests, including serial killers. 19 days later, after guests began complaining of discolored, foul-tasting water, her body was discovered inside a rooftop water tank. The security footage released during the investigation is the stuff of modern folklore. It shows Elisa inside an elevator, appearing confused, terrified, and possibly being pursued. She repeatedly peeks into the hallway, presses random buttons, and makes strange, almost choreographed hand gestures. The elevator door refuses to close, then she vanishes from view. The roof was locked and alarmed, yet somehow she gained access. The tank lid was heavy but found closed after her body was discovered. The official ruling, accidental drowning, exacerbated by bipolar disorder. But those who've seen the footage know that something doesn't sit right. Her erratic behavior, the locked doors, the delay in finding her body, none of it adds up. Now, we journey back to 1945 to the snow-covered hills of Fayetteville, West Virginia. It was Christmas Eve, and the Sodder family, George and Jenny, along with 9 of their 10 children, were gathered for the holidays. Just after midnight, a fire consumed their home. George and Jenny escaped with 4 of the children, but the remaining 5 were believed to be trapped inside. What followed is one of the most confounding disappearances in American history. No bones were ever recovered from the ashes. The fire, lasting only 45 minutes, was not hot enough to completely cremate 5 bodies. Phone lines had been cut. A ladder normally resting against the house had been moved. A witness claimed to have seen the children looking out of a passing car's window the next morning. The Sodders received cryptic tips over the years. a woman who claimed the children were being held in New York, a photo mailed decades later of a young man resembling one of the missing boys, now grown. The family erected a billboard on Route 16, begging for answers. To this day, many believe the fire was a cover-up and the children were taken. But by who and why remains unknown. At the 3-minute mark, prepare yourself for one of the most haunting images in true crime history. In 1957, deep in the woods of Philadelphia, a young man searching for rabbits stumbled upon a large cardboard box. Inside was the body of a small boy between 4 and 6 years old. He was naked, bruised, and wrapped in a plaid blanket. His hair had been crudely cut and his body meticulously cleaned. Dubbed the boy in the box, his face was printed on thousands of flyers and plastered across newspapers. Yet no one came forward. Police pursued every lead, from local orphanages to traveling carnivals. They even dressed a mannequin in the boy's clothes to stir recognition. But nothing worked. Decades passed. Then, in 2022, a breakthrough. Using advanced DNA technology, the boy was identified as Joseph Augustus Zarelli, a name at last. But the questions multiplied. How did he die? Who were his parents? Why did no one report him missing? Authorities confirmed his parents were known but declined to name them publicly. The pain was still raw. Even with a name, the murder of Joseph remains a riddle trapped in time. Before we unveil the final case, take a second to breathe. These stories are not just eerie, they are emotionally exhausting. They remind us that for all our scientific advancement, there are still shadows we cannot penetrate. If these stories intrigue you as much as they disturb, consider subscribing to our channel. We dive deep into real mysteries every week, and your curiosity is what keeps these stories alive. We end our journey in the frigid wilderness of Norway, 1970. A man and his daughters hiking in the remote Isdal Valley discovered the badly burned body of a woman, lying between blackened stones, her hands curled in a position that suggested she had been alive when the fire started. Her teeth were filled with exotic dental work. All labels on her clothing had been removed. Her suitcase, found at a Bergen train station, contained multiple wigs, prescription-free glasses, and coded notes. The press dubbed her the Isdal Woman, and what followed was a spiderweb of intrigue. She had checked into local hotels under various aliases, using fake passports. She spoke fluent German, French, and broken English. She was seen meeting with unknown men and changing rooms frequently. One hotel clerk remembered her requesting a room with a balcony. Another said she often looked over her shoulder as if being watched. Some investigators speculated she was a spy during the height of the Cold War, possibly killed due to her involvement in secret intelligence operations. But no agency ever claimed her. Her body was buried in an unmarked grave in Bergen, her identity lost to time, her story absorbed by conspiracy and speculation. Each of these cases shares a thread of isolation. In them, the victims vanish, not just physically, but into silence. Their last known moments are often fractured, inexplicable, and incomplete. They leave behind scattered clues, tire tracks, handwritten notes, cryptic behavior that point in every direction and yet lead nowhere. These stories captivate us, not because we understand them, but because we don't. They represent the boundaries of knowledge, the limits of our reach. There's something profoundly human about the desire to solve a mystery. We need answers, we crave closure. And when we're denied those things, it unnerves us. These cases challenge the belief that every question has an answer. But they also offer hope that one day, someone, somewhere might see something others miss. That in the sea of cold case files, one more story might finally be told in full. So, which of these cases lingers with you the most? Which one gave you chills? Let us know in the comments. We read everyone. And if you want more real-life mysteries and unsolved stories like this, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Because in the world of true crime, the unknown is always closer than we think.